state of Michigan.
Hi there, come on in. I'm Fred Trost, and I hope you stick around for the next half hour. It's our Thanksgiving special show. What do we have special coming up? Well, we have a special dinner. We're going to have wild goose, Canada goose for the table. There's so many Canada geese flying the skies, especially in southern Michigan, that they've become a problem throughout the southern part of the state. Well, we trim the goose population back a little bit, put some great meat on the table. We're going to show you how to cook it in just a few minutes, so you stay tuned. I'm Fred Trost. It's Thursday night, time for Michigan Outdoors.
Major funding for this program is provided by STRO. By sharing the responsibility to preserve our natural treasures, together we ensure our right to enjoy them. STRO, partners in preserving America's outdoor heritage.
Get your safety off. You have to push it up there. Yeah, no, put it back on. Put it off before you shoot. I'm giving careful instructions to my son Jason, who's developed a keen interest in hunting, but like most 13-year-olds, hasn't stacked up a lot of experience. It's only 20 minutes or so into opening day of goose season, southern Michigan. Lots of geese. Are they going to ever land close enough to us?
Maybe not. It's hard to draw them away from live decoys.
By live decoys, we're talking about the wild birds on the ground, not birds we set out. But they do bring in other geese. They always seem to come in at the east end of the wind's blowing from the west and they land on the east end.
Landing into the wind. That's what they normally do.
At the tail end of the other geese.
Yeah.
Now, do you think they've spotted us really? Or you?
Yeah, they know we're here. They got good eyes.
We frequently caution Jason about moving because these geese are easy to spook.
There comes some from behind us.
Yeah, we need these new recruits, is what we need. The geese on the ground have spotted us, and they aren't likely to fly our way. Now, the new geese coming into this corn stubble, we hope, fly right over our heads. You see them yet, guys?
No, I can't see them. Here they come. Here they come. 3 of them.
Are they going to be close enough for a shot?
Yeah, they're plenty.
Okay, Jason. You want to turn around and get
Ready?
your gun around? One down. Well,
All right, stay down now. They might come back, Fred.
we'll leave it out there, hey?
Yeah. A lot of times they'll circle right around his buddy.
I got one shot off. I tried to pull the trigger, my safety was on.
I swear I only had 2 shots there, but I know I had 3. The geese we're hunting represent a growing problem because they leave their marks all over the lawns of people who live by small southern Michigan lakes. They also eat a lot of farm crops. Jason learns that this is a part of wildlife management, removing nuisance wildlife by hunting. Instead of poisoning them, we'll use them for food. Yeah, they'll be coming around to the west here. Around to your left, Randy. Bill Meyer from Addison tips off his hunting buddy, Randy Darby, who's keeping an eye on our rear flank. Geese are coming in from all directions. Oh, gee, look at that. The season isn't even a half hour old. The sky is filled with geese, but Bill and Randy know that it all ends as quickly as it starts. So if we're going to fill our tags, we don't have much longer. We have 4 of them down, so we got 4 to go, right?
Yep. Got some ducks over there, too.
Just run over the hill and
Look at that.
chase me.
That pretty?
Oh, see the ducks, Jace?
Yeah.
6 ducks up there.
Comes another flock, yeah.
Yep. Another flock from north.
Well, they're coming in from a lot more areas than just that
Yeah.
lake over here.
See, he's probably coming off of Crystal and Lake Leanne. Plus all the little lakes around.
I gotta hand it to you. You guys picked the popular cornfield.
Comes some in from behind us.
Okay, try not to move, Jace. Just sort of hold steady. Well, that was
That was pretty
a
cool.
real thrill.
Finally close, right?
Yeah.
They're coming in.
Yeah, they're coming in.
These are gonna come in.
What do you think, Jace? You gonna be ready? Okay, don't move your gun much. Try to hold real still.
When you move, just move slow, dude.
Yeah, move real slow. Oh, there's 8 of them here off to the left. Right, I like that.
Yeah.
Come on. No. This way.
Let's swing around. They want to come in.
Some of them do, some of them don't.
Don't move, Goose.
Don't move, Jason. Here they come. Here they come. Now don't move until...
They should swing around back towards the
Yeah.
field. Some other ones are going to come back in too. You watching them to the right, Randy?
Yeah.
Okay, watch out in front of here.
How are those doing around back up behind us, Randy?
Oh, come on.
Hold still, hold still.
Don't move, Goose. Ready?
Yeah.
Let them over in front.
Oh, thanks. Move over just a little closer.
Off to the right. Off to the right.
Okay, off to the right. This is about as exciting.
They're not sure.
No, they're not. Well, there's a couple out there in the
Yeah,
decoys.
Sitting right in the decoy.
Oh, they're taking off.
Leaving. Okay, get ready. Ready?
Yep, we're going to take them. Okay. Oh, there's one right in front of you.
Look at here.
Oh, look. This one landed right in front of Jason.
know.
Boy, here comes more. Okay, we got these two. Boy, we dumped them right in our lap. It's a few minutes past 8 in the morning, and those were the last flights coming into this field. What about our new hunter, Jason? What does he think about his first goose hunt? Did it raise his blood pressure the way it raised mine?
Fun.
Huh?
It's fun.
How many shots have you gotten off?
About 4. Missed.
Missed? Why? We had them right over on top of us. Exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, Jason had a last fall, I cooked some meat on the grill and fixed it for Jason and his cousin. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
What was it?
It was geese. It's goose.
What did you think it tasted like?
Good. Steak. It was good.
And what did you tell me right after you ate that?
I wanted to get some more.
He said he wanted to go goose hunting, so opening day, here we are. I teach my sons to hunt the same way my dad taught me, hunting for food. If you shoot it, you eat it. Otherwise, you don't pull the trigger. We brought 6 down just after sunrise, a few geese for the table, but we left thousands in the sky. Wild Canada geese will undoubtedly still create problems in some areas, but with regulated hunting, there'll always be enough to fill the skies in Michigan outdoors.
It's deer season, so let's lead off with Dennis Walzak of Pinconning, who took this 10-pointer with a bow and arrow hunting in Montmorency County. Here's an almost 19.5-pound pike that Bill Lang from Rose City caught on a tip-up. He was fishing Lake St. Helen in Roscommon County. Joseph Kutcher of Berglund got this 2-pound, 2-ounce perch on a Russian spoon and minnow in Lake Gogebic. Roy Alexander of Carp Lake. He was hunting in the early afternoon and called in this 19.75-pound gobbler. It had a 9-inch beard in Emmett County. Ronald Cummings of Midland was still fishing for perch on Lake Huron, but he caught this 8.25-pound, 31-inch burbot instead. Mark Valentine of Fosteria took this 13-pointer on November 7th last year hunting in Tuscola County. He rattled it in just before dark, but it wouldn't come in all the way. So he reached into his bag of tricks and he grunted it in the rest of the way. This guy ought to write a book. So for getting this rocking chair buck and an 8-pointer earlier, there's no doubt that Mark Valentine deserves to be our Michigan Outdoors Big Buck Hunter of the Week. A conservation officer and his volunteer partner were shot at just before deer season in Ingham County. 2 poachers shot slugs at the officers, hitting their patrol car. They were caught in a high-speed chase. They had a dead deer in the back, and they were free on bail before opening day. Initial deer surveys showed that the Upper Peninsula and the Northern Lower are down a little bit for the first 3 days of the deer season, mostly due to the weather. The initial deer count for southern Michigan is way up. A DNR deer expert says the media still seems to be more interested in deer hunter fatalities than the deer season. He says their typewriters hit high gear even when their deaths are hardly related to the hunt. Most of the deaths mentioned are heart attacks that could occur at any time. Coho salmon plants will drop some in Lake Michigan this year. Chinook salmon plants will increase, and hopefully more Chinook will survive. Greg Weil, formerly of WCMU Channel 14, has joined Outdoors Forever as its executive director. Former executive director Roger McCarville, well, he'll become Outdoors Forever's media spokesman. From the election results, it's pretty evident that gun owners did well, with President-elect George Bush, well, a card-carrying member of the National Rifle Association. No doubt anti-gun legislation will get a presidential veto. In the state legislature, the new Speaker of the House is Lou Dodak of Montrose. Now, I've known Lou for a dozen years. He's a sportsman, a hunter, and an avid salmon and walleye angler on Lake Huron. Representative Jerry Bartnick says Dodak will be a tremendous leader for sportsmen. I wholeheartedly agree. The only problem I see with the election is one raised by passing Proposal C and D, the toxic cleanup and recreation bond issues. With the DNR being controlled by politics and politicians more than ever before, there is some potential for this to become an $800 million boondoggle. The only way to prevent this is for all of us in the media to focus in and make sure this money gets spent wisely. Better recreation and cleaner water and landscapes were promised the voters if they supported C&D. They did, and now it's time to make sure our government lives up to its side of the bargain.
Mrs. John Bickle from Sterling Heights wants to know what happens to the evidence when the DNR confiscates game and fish in poaching busts? What happens to road kills? Well, with road kills, the DNR officer will first offer it to the driver of the vehicle, provided the critter isn't a protected species. Now, if it's a deer, for example, and the driver doesn't want it, the officer usually offers it to anybody else on the scene. Still no takers? Well, officers have lists of welfare families who have asked for game when it's available, and they'll start calling these volunteers. Now, fish and game from poachers is never dressed out. It's kept intact as evidence, and after the case is closed, which is sometimes months later, the poached meat is something that, well, believe me, you wouldn't care to eat.
There's a handgun metallic silhouette shoot all weekend at the Barry County Conservation Club at Hastings. This weekend, Fred Trost Hunting and Fishing Museum will be open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Videos detailing whitetail behavior in elk, moose, and bear will be running continuously. The museum is located 1 block north of the State Police Post right next to Coyle's Restaurant at Houghton Lake. Deadline for our upcoming Fish and Wild Game recipe contest is December 1st. All entries must be on an official entry form available by calling us or writing, address coming up at the end of the show. The night many of us are really looking forward to is Big Buck Night. It's set for Thursday, December 8th. On this and all PBS stations statewide, we'll have some real wall hangers there. Now, if you get a buck 10 points or larger, or a buck that totals more than 28 points, that's counting points as being 1 per inch or longer tine or able to support a 1-inch tube, and the outside spread at a point per inch, then be sure and enter it for our Stroh's Award. Or if you've got a buck that scores somewhere in the mid-30s, or a very unusual story, and I mean very unusual, and can't return your form by December 1st, please call us. We'll be selecting big buck participants sometime after December 1st. If you missed a number, you can get it by calling the Michigan Travel Bureau toll-free during working hours.
Dennis Sheets got himself a 10-pointer with a 15.5-inch spread. Is that you, Denny? Oh, well, come on up here. We want to see this buck, find out where you got it.
Well, I just barely made your show, Fred. I kind of got lucky down here with a couple extra points. But this is a Washtenaw County buck, and the first time I seen him was October 20th, and he's crossing through a soil bank field and going into a thicket, and I rattled him back. I brought him into a scrape, but I was a little high on my shot, and he got away from me. And he came back November 10th. I went to a ladder stand, and the second time he came back through, he wasn't quite so lucky. He didn't quite go as far as he anticipated.
Well, great. Good story, Dennis Sheets. Washtenaw County buck.
Thank you.
Got enough points on that baby to qualify. Mark Valentine, hunting Tuscola County, got a 13-point buck. Look at this one, a dandy. Also rattled this in on the 7th of November.
Yep. Me and my cousin went up to out hunting, looking for a spot to hunt for deer for gun season. And about 15 minutes before it got dark, I started rattling, and she was sitting there watching, and we could hear him coming up through the leaves and that. And went into some pine trees, and I couldn't get him out of there, so I pulled out my grunt call and called him, and he come out right then, and I pulled back on my bow, and
Rest is history, eh?
yeah, well, he stood there for about 3 minutes. When he come up there, I didn't want the shot because all he did was look at me like that, and I didn't like the shot, so I waited, and something, I don't know if he was getting spooky or what, but he turned his head like that, and then I got him.
What a story. Combination of rattling and grunting that buck in. Outstanding. Just before dark, Mark Valentine, a 13-pointer. William Beery from Branch County is where he hunted. Got a 220-pounder, 11-point buck with a 20-inch spread. Stand right up here. Tell me about this one.
Well, I got out of work late and didn't think there was time to go hunting, but I put on my camels and went anyway. And I got in my stand, and I was in there about 15 minutes checking out the area, and I started using my grunt call. And about 5 minutes later, he come up out of the swamp, and he come to the top of the hill, looked around a little bit, and he didn't see nothing. So he started to turn around and go back, and I grunted one more time as he was leaving, and he stopped, and he turned back, and he looked. And so I grunted again when he wasn't looking my way, and he come back up the hill, and he come around to my right, and I took him with about a 15-yard shot.
I'll be darned. With that calling, sounds like it's something to try. Congratulations. William Beery got an 11-point buck. Bud McLarty, again up in Alpena County. Boy, we're getting a lot of bucks from that territory. 18.5-inch spread. The 18th of November. Why'd you take so long, Bud?
Took 4 days.
How come?
Well, this took me 50 years to get this buck.
You've been hunting for 50 years?
57. But it took me 50 years to get him.
Now, what do you mean?
Well, I killed a big one in 37, an 8-pointer, 27 3/4-inch spread, 18 1/4-inch tines. And I never found anything that perfect since then, so it's been 50 years.
Since you have taken a buck?
Oh, no, I killed one pretty every year, but it's been 50 years to get a decent one.
A decent one. I guess this is a decent one. A 10-pointer with an 18-inch spread. 50 years ago, you took one bigger, huh?
Oh, yes. Yeah, in 37.
Outstanding. You ought to send us a picture of that. We'll put it in the trophy
Since
book.
32, right?
Hunting since 1932. Bud McLarty. He's seen his share of hunting camps and heard his share of hunting stories. Philip Wright was hunting in Allegan County. He got a look at this with a muzzle loader, a 17-point buck with a 26.5-inch spread. Boy, talk to me. Tell me about this.
Well, I'd given up for the year the day I got this. I'd been out earlier in the day, and my feet were wet from the day before, and they were cold, so I went in. And about 4:30, the sun came out, so I put my other boots on, went back out, and just got set down.
And that
15 minutes.
Had you seen this buck before?
Yes, this is the third year I've hunted this.
So you gave up, but just with one more try.
Right.
Let's take a look at this. The size of this, 17 points, a massive beam. You say this deer dressed out at 164 pounds?
Just bare meat, no fat at all.
I bet this boy was busy doing a little breeding, if you know what I mean.
This is a horn from the year before, a drop horn.
So you found this one the year before, and
Yeah.
he'd...
A neighbor down the road has a horn from the year before that. That would have been the first year that I saw it.
No kidding. What a buck. That's down in Allegan County. And if you talk to Philip, he won't tell you exactly where he got it.
Yes, I will.
Will you?
South of Holland.
Oh, okay. I figured it'd be about that close. Thanks a lot. Philip Wright, an outstanding buck, 17-pointer. Earl Huntley. Earl got a 14-pointer up in Gladwin County. That's a darn nice buck, Earl. What's the story behind it?
Just a lot of persistence.
What do you mean?
I passed up $21 before I got this one.
$20. Oh, we got at least 21 hunters here who will go and get those.
Well, I waited till the 27th of December to get this one.
Oh, you did? Why?
Because there wasn't any big ones.
How big were these 21?
Oh, spike horns, 6-pointers, 4-pointers.
Sound like huge ones to me. I mean, you see my collection over the years. But that's up in Gladwin County. That's a nice buck for that area.
Yeah, it is. It was a small buck in size, you know. And this is the first time I'd seen them, and I'd seen a lot of deer there.
Boy, I guess so. Well, congratulations, all that persistence to the 27th of December. Whoa, Earl Huntley.
How is a white-tailed doe's milk different from a cow's? Well, does produce milk with 3 times the protein and twice the butterfat of cow's milk. The average Jersey cow has about 5 to 6% butterfat in her milk, while a white-tailed doe produces 11 to 12% butterfat milk.
Sue Shoemaker from Roscommon was a winner in our Fish and Wild Game cooking contest with his venison stroganoff recipe, and I had the bright idea, Kathy Beitler, to try this with goose breast.
Oh, and a very good substitute. You could use just about anything in this recipe. Beef would work good. I think the darker meat, though, works better than like a grouse would.
Well, yeah, we cut it in small pieces for stroganoff, but look, there's no fat to speak of. We cut the little bit that there is on this goose breast.
Just on the very ends. And
very healthy meat.
Very, very good. Going to go ahead and brown your pieces, and then what makes this different is she used water chestnuts rather than potatoes, and they stay crisp. They don't cook down.
Oh, I like
And fresh
this.
mushrooms and mushroom soup.
Mushroom soup. You know how many times we've had mushroom soup in our recipes?
Seems like
this
they
year?
all came together right here all at once.
But it's good.
And you got dried parsley. You could use fresh if you had that, and just need just a little bit for color and flavor. And your snipped chives, which also you could use fresh if you wanted to.
Boy. What ingredients? What ingredients? I mean,
they all go so well together. And then going to add some dried onion. You could use fresh onion there if you wanted to. And then some milk, a can of milk, and that's it.
Simple recipe. Of course, the question I have is, can we pass this off to Bob Garner as a venison recipe?
Oh, yeah, it does, because it's not a real livery flavor like some ducks can be. And also you can cut it up into nice chunks so it looks a lot like venison. I'll tell you, and in a thick sauce like this, goose is really, really good. The only change I'd make, and this is just a bias I've always had, is I like noodles better than I like the rice.
Like noodles? I like the rice.
I like the rice.
Because I just came up with this, putting little onions on, chopped green onions. To me, it's like a chop suey or
they dress it up in it. Just gives it that little different taste.
Oh, it's
an Oriental taste anyway with white chestnut.
What is it? A venison recipe that we made Oriental taste supposed to is goose?
It's been a good goose season out there.
Yes, it has. Okay, after you saw it, you wished you had written down the ingredients to tonight's recipe. Well, you're in luck. It's printed in a handy clip-out format in the November-December issue of the Outdoor Digest. And if you're not a subscriber, we'll send you this issue free of charge, which also contains hunting and fishing articles, including one by in-fisherman experts on walleyes and weather, how to catch them. The Outdoors Forever supplement is an inspiration to sportsmen who have physical difficulties, and the digest also describes each week's programs, including our featured recipes. To get your free copy, along with information on becoming a subscriber, write to me at Fred Trost's Outdoors Club, P.O. Box 1775, East Lansing, Michigan, 48826. We'll send you this issue right away. A lot of fishing and hunting available around the state right now. It's a great time of year for both, but everybody's mind is on deer. Let's take a look at our deer hunting, starting in the southern part of the state. Our report from the Southwest, success is up. That's pretty much the case throughout southern Michigan. As we get into the northern part, it just all depends. Down around Pentwater, according to Coho Bob, down from last year at Houghton Lake, our sources there say the harvest appears to be up, but the number of hunters appears to be down. That's because of our Tuesday opener followed by the weekend. Around Oscoda, reports are that the hunting has been down, up a little bit in the Alpena area, up around Charlevoix, but the place we really have our deer hunting up is in the Upper Peninsula. Around Escanaba, they report lots of deer. Dick Blau and the Keweenaw, as well as a root cellar at Lake Gogebic, say it's up from last year. The harvest is up, and bigger racks than ever before. You're going to see them on Big Buck Night. We got some Real trophies coming in. As far as fishing goes, well, it's available. The only place we have snow is in the Upper Peninsula. The only place we've heard of much ice at all, Lake Gogebic. The south end of the lake is frozen, and I imagine those lakes are starting to freeze over, but no ice fishing yet that we could recommend as being safe. Walleye limits are being taken in Bay de Noc, still fishing from boats. They're running about 20 inches. We also have walleye limits, Houghton Lake, but there's only been a couple anglers out. Ron Reed says they got 20-inch limits when they were out, but there's not much fishing going on. Couple steelhead. In fact, most of the steelhead areas report just a couple. They're catching 2 to 3 off Oscoda. Got some 8 to 9 inch perch, little perch around Saginaw Bay in the cuts. Amaldine has been averaging 1 steelhead per day on the Manistee. Coho Bob says they're getting 1 to 2 a day trolling in Pentwater Lake. Getting some 7 to 10 inch perch. Couple steelhead from the pier in the south. The fishing is there, the hunting is there, but everybody's thinking about deer getting ready for Big Buck Night. Get outdoors this weekend if you can. We'll see you next week.
Major funding for this program was provided by Stroh. By joining together as partners to preserve our natural treasures, together we ensure our right to enjoy them. Stroh, partners in preserving America's outdoor heritage.
Next week, we begin the month of December on Michigan Outdoors. The subject, grouse hunting in winter. We do have a season in the Lower Peninsula that carries us through the end of December. Some tips from Jim Hamill on how you can hunt ruffed grouse in the snow. We also have a great recipe, mesquite and tangy rabbit. That was a winner in our wild game cooking contest. We have our outdoor news and a lot more, so be sure to join me, Bob Garner, Kathy Beitler, all of us for Michigan Outdoors next week right here on PBS.